We're rolling. Hello, everybody. I am here again with Texas Slim, the beef initiative man. I call him the cattle baron or the beef baron.
The beef baron. I think that's what it was, Carmen. It's pretty good. It's pretty creative.
I'm the beef baroness just when I'm on with you.
Exactly. I mean, we look the part right now, don't we?
I know,
mean,
right?
we are Texas, and
I'm completely representing right now.
I love that shirt.
I'm
That's
excited
great
about it. It was so funny. I'm so happy to have you back. I can't wait to get an update, but I did do kind of an ancillary dive into fake food and just food diets and just, basic food intelligence, just trying to get some talking points. Well, really what I did is terrify myself. And I was pretty educated because I raised my kids, always reading labels and stuff, but they've got all these new tricks up their sleeves now. So we're going to start like this, if you're cool with it. We're going to start out with nightmares, and then we're going to build back up to, let's talk about the great things that we have going on. Because I want to share a couple of things before we get going. And then I want you to share any of your nightmare stories from maybe going to ranchers who, aren't so above board, or, whatever you want to share that's kind of a scary thought. So we'll start with the nightmare and we'll end in the dream. But I was researching, and one of the very first things I came across is the origins of food dye. And do you know how it started? It's a crazy story.
Man, I have not even got into the food dyes, so you're going to be telling me what it is on this one.
The only reason I thought you might know is because it has to do with beef tallow. And so what happened was, in the 1800s, there was butter. Everybody had butter, but the problem was butter didn't last. And so in France, they created margarine, which is beef tallow with salt and some other things. Well, it was white, and they thought, well, let's turn it yellow and that began the color wars, so to speak. And then there was all these, the Olamargarine Act or something, where you get charged extra percentage if you put color in your food. And there's all these retaliations and stuff. But what's wild is, instead of it getting better, it has just progressively gotten worse, to where there's now 9 food dyes allowed. And the crazy thing is they just have to be reasonably healthy or reasonably, I forget the name that they said, but it just was wild. But there's a couple that I really want to share with people, because I cannot believe how often I have gone out to eat sushi and ordered salmon, not thinking twice about it.
Sure.
Of course, I would rather have wild caught than farmed raised. Always knew that. But what I didn't realize is that farmed raised doesn't eat shrimp or krill. It eats some sort of feed. Sure. And that feed makes them gray and not pink. So what they do is they farm it in Alaska, then they send it off to Asia. Asia messes with it to get it the right color, and then they send it back here and sell it as farm-grown salmon. Oh my gosh, ruined my life, because salmon was my favorite.
It is. It's fascinating.
I don't think I'll be able to eat it again. Now, if it was just gray, I might, it'd be a choice. But the fact that it goes to the other side of the world for some sort of tampering and then comes back is just wild to me. So anyway, so now it's your turn. Tell me, it's a couple of your beef nightmares.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, it's crazy to think about how many miles that these food products take after, from being raised to being processed to being, supplied to market access. And, that's the maddening thing of it. If you want to talk about, let's do the color thing. What the color wars also started, Procter and Gamble, used cottonseed, for the first, Crisco, that's what that was. Right. Well, they turned it to white because, that was the color of tallow, that was the color of animal fat. So there you go. I mean, they've been doing this for a lot of different food products for, as far as the coloring to make it look a certain way. As far as let's say beef, there's a cattle drive that goes on right now every day that it starts in South America, Brazil. Cattle gets, they start off in Brazil, they make it all the way up to South America, Central America, they end up in Mexico. And at that time, they're basically fed a lot of grains in Mexico. Then they come across into Texas, they're processed, and then that beef is said that it's USDA prime. They say that it's, it is something, it's in the state of Texas, we're not even eating our beef. And if you look at that beef, it's used food coloring as well. I mean, it goes through the whole system, as far as coloring the meats to make them look in the right way. Well, we have a lot of great beef in Texas. Well, that beef gets sent overseas, and we're not even getting access to our own beef in the state of Texas. Wow. And so, once again, the coloring is off. If you eat local, regenerative grown beef, it's going to be a totally different color than what you're finding in the grocery stores. They try in the grocery stores to make it look like the real thing, but it just isn't. And so once, there's your fish, your salmon, and then all the way to the beef, it's all the same story. It follows all the same, tracking across the world to make that profit, to make that fake dollar basically on a fake commodity product that they've created for us to consume. That is our consumption model. And, so many people don't know anything about that. And it's okay because they hide it pretty well.
They do hide it. So let me tell you the worst one.
Okay.
They are taking, so let's say I go to a not so reputable steakhouse and I order filet mignon. Filet mignon is the most likely to have this happen. And what they do is they break down the meat into smaller pieces. They put it into a mold and they add, what is it called? I wrote it down. Transglutaminase or something. I can't say it. But it's basically either pig or cow, like protein kind of glue.
Right.
That holds it back together. And so technically, yes, it's meat, but it's actually, they call it US prime, I think, is the name for it. So that was really interesting also.
Once again, I mean, it's the manipulation of the labeling of, the certifications that we give our food that basically are laughable at this point. They do that with ground beef. They do it with, they'll glue steaks together and make you think that it's a filet mignon, and they can do that. It's legal, and it's because, the USDA says, yep, that's okay. So once we're doing that to our food, it gets to where, like in burgers, you'll know from a processing plant, they once looked at a thing of burger from one batch. And I think there was over 83 different cows in that one slab of burger with the genetic test. And so with that many different cow, and this is where the manipulation really gets even deeper, that they're saying that, they are doing everything that they do for safety. And that, it's actually, it's the biggest lie out there. And we didn't get here overnight though, it's something that has happened because of the over globalization of a one world food group in which they're trying to create.
Yes. So I thought those were really
those are good stories though. That's going to stick in a lot of people's brains now. They're going to think twice.
Yes. And then it comes back to my dream now. So this place that I'm repping here, totally, it is like walking into an old-fashioned deli that also sells meat, that knows your grandma, that the family's working there, the little kids are working. I mean, it's just a joyful place, and where things are coming from. But it is I also want to share with you the impact you're having. I know your impact. I know that it's valuable, but I have had so many people send me pictures of the freezers, and one person called and like, oh my God, I got a half cow. Like, what was I thinking? I got to give some of this away, which I also like. She gave it to her mom, which is awesome. But here's the comments. And there's so many layers around this, but the comments are, it doesn't smell when I open it.
Yeah.
It tastes better. It feels cleaner. I'm happier when I eat this. It makes me, it's like a happy journey. And so I would love to hear what your response is to that. I mean, you're literally affecting people's lives.
Well, and that's very humbling, to say the least, because this didn't start out to be where it has come to. So, I mean, that makes me extremely happy that people are actually listening, because, all of this comes with a lot of truth and honesty and trying to save people's lives. And so, as far as, people recognizing what food is, again, what pure animal dense protein is, just that simple little start of, losing we have a friend, Dr. Mary Kerr,
Yes.
and, I spoke with her in Dallas a couple of weeks ago, and she said, most people, what they're suffering from is they're in a food ditch that they don't understand.
Yes.
And she helps people get out of that food ditch. And she says, a 48-hour bone broth fast is the best thing that you can do to get your mind clear, to where you can say, whoa, okay, this does taste different. This is something that's making me feel better. This is going to, I'm thinking differently. I'm more clear. And it happens, and it happens pretty fast. We don't have to go on these major diets. What we don't have to do, what we have to do is we have to understand what real nutrition is again, what the density of that nutrition, the true color of that nutrition is, pure animal protein in the cow. And if we can do that, and we have that kind of awareness and understanding, that our lives can change pretty quick for the better. And what that does, it sends us down a rabbit hole that we're not aware of, that it's going to send us down. It's like, how do I source my food? How do my grandparents do this? This is a cool place that I found, right there, everything that you're wearing.
Oh, I love it.
It is. It's a lifestyle change that it's exciting. And people are going to start understanding that this is the new international lifestyle starts right here at home, in your, right around your communities. I mean, that's what people are finding out.
Well, it's really neat too, because he was telling me that people come from very far away to purchase from him. He's like, they pass, I don't know how many butchers on the way. And I think that if anything, we can help him, because now we can educate him and he can start buying smarter and better, and, having more direct relationships, which is very cool. I did have a couple of very odd questions for you. First, do you already have trolls, like people that are already getting in and saying bad things about you?
Oh yeah.
Because someone came into my chat that you weren't even on. It was a different one. And they were saying, oh, I ordered from the Beef Initiative and I didn't get my order and I canceled it. Yeah. And so I would love for you to speak to how the ordering's going and all that, just because people see it. And I don't want somebody to, think that there's a big ripoff here.
No, it's going well. We haven't had that much on the ordering. When ordering and shipping beef across, state of Texas, and of course, across some of the United States right now, there's a lot of logistics that are, involved with that as far as the transactional processing. We have not had very little complaints or any issues. Any issues that we might have had was shipping, just dealing with UPS or FedEx or whatever it is. Yeah. And that's going to happen with anything, but that's been really low as far as I know. With our transactional processing that we have right now, as far as maybe the notifications might be not as what people are used to, because, everybody's used to Amazon and you get instantaneous, automated everything. This is grassroots. This is a slower, low time preference expectation that we're trying to set for everybody. And we are shipping beef. So, but beyond that, I mean, it's picking up every week. Everybody's, Cole will call, with KNC Cattle, he'll call them up personally and see, hey, how'd it go?
Oh,
so we're doing the best we can. We haven't had any major issues. If there was a problem, then we apologize, but we answer everything. So, the trolls are going to be there.
It because I like the spacing stuff. It's better to do that. And
there's going to be competition.
It plants the seed of fear, and I don't want people to be afraid of it.
No.
And then
have some confidence. Everybody needs to.
Question. Oh, there was one more. Aged beef. I was looking, so at this place, they have this gorgeous refrigerator that you can see through the glass, and you can see this aged beef, and it's kind of wild to see that, right?
Sure.
I don't understand, do they pull it off of there and then they cut around the edges and you don't eat the edges, or the edge is the best part? Like, can you tell us a little bit about aged beef, or are you even that educated on it?
Aged beef, for me growing up in Texas, aged beef wasn't that big of a thing during, me growing up. I saw a lot of aged beef when I've done my travels, across like Manhattan has great, aged beef, like steakhouses where it's just aged out in the open. And it's a process that, a lot of people, it comes from the past, of course, because it was a way to, keep your protein okay,
Right.
and not spoiling everything. It's something I have not actually tasted a lot. I have had it in Manhattan. I loved it. It's just a different way of preparing your beef, really, and it's a whole like cultural thing. You can go down that rabbit hole. I mean, there's a lot of people that, do this, that it'll be the best steak that you've ever had in your life. And if you do find a place that is aging beef, I would definitely get on it and ask them how they're doing it, because there's a lot of different ways that people approach it. So you just can't blanket approach, as far as the outside cuts, the inside cuts, how they do that.
Yeah.
So, but it's pretty fascinating if you look at it. There's a place in New York, in Manhattan, I can't remember, but they age their beef just out for 30 days.
Oh, there's a lot of places that do it, for sure.
And they just leave the beef out in the, out in the open. And it is a crazy process. And it's from like the 1800s steakhouse. And, you go in there, the wooden shelves, and it's just, it's a pretty neat process.
Yeah, it's something I definitely would like to learn more about, become more of a connoisseur for it.
Sure.
So we'll just do one more weird thing, and that was the 3D printing of meat.
Mm-hmm.
And so first of all, the guy that was talking on the video, he had on a shirt with a big cow, but the cow was upside down. So be careful if the man you're buying meat from has an upside down cow on.
Yeah.
But it was so gross. He was like, yeah, and they were so excited, like they're like nerding out on these 3D printers, and they're like, okay, look at this, like this is so cool. These are the blood vials, and these are the muscle vials, and these are the fat vials, and then they're like, doing that whole thing. And all I could think about is, what's so wrong with just the normal way? They're convincing people again that it's hard on the climate. It's better this way. It doesn't cook as long. It doesn't do this. There's not all the, stuff. So you want to speak to the climate argument?
Sure. Well, it's totally false as far as, the cow being a climate hazard, carbon hazard. It's something they've been doing for a very long time. Climate change, and what they're trying to say is that there's a carbon problem, and that how we got here was cows. Well, what they're doing is they're covering up their own lies, as far as how we've gotten here, and as far as how we've killed our soil. We've killed our soil with pesticides and herbicides, and that's just the truth. We do not grow anything anymore. We develop things in labs, and we call it food. And they've been doing this for a very long time. Well, they're investing hundreds of millions of dollars into the 3D printing of meat.
Right.
And what it is, it's a science experiment. It's not about nutrition. It's not about food. And they find any narrative that they can use to say, hey, this is what we're going to have to do in the future. This is how we're going to have to live. This is, just the same thing as the manipulation of animal fat with cholesterol, the same thing with vegetable oil and what is fat and what is not fat, what makes you fat, what doesn't make you fat. It's just manipulation that's always been involved with food. And right now they've turned our consumption models into one big marketing plan that basically is more about it. It's about money, but it's about power. It's about power over the individual. Right. And so they'll go at any means necessary to basically manipulate our understanding of what is safe, what is real nutrition, and what is not. We got here eating pure nutrition, dense, pure animal protein. And they don't want us to be as powerful as we can be. And they've proven that the last 50 years on how they have manipulated our metabolic health, along with the debasing of our food. And it's just out there, and people need to understand that. It's hard for people to grasp and understand what is real anymore and what is not. And that's why I said we get to the source of the seed.
I would never have guessed that they were gluing filet mignons together.
No.
Not in a million years. So another really cool comment that Charlene Williams just said in the chat. She said, went carnivore and either buy from our local rancher or we butcher our own. I'm finally dreaming and remembering my dreams. My brain fog is lifting and I'm feeling physically better. So that's a really cool side effect, having good dreams.
Yeah. I mean, the brain, the brain fog, the brain cloud is real. And it's inflammation of the brain brought on, stuff like seed oils, sugars, refined sugars, the pesticides, everything that we are consuming, we can't even pronounce anymore. There's so many thousands upon thousands of chemicals that are running around. Well, how do you get over that? Just like what she said, it is carnivore diet, pure animal protein again, and it works. So you're seeing it all over the place. You're having doctors coming out, really encouraging people to take a look. Doctors are reinventing themselves and saying, I was lied to even about nutrition. They're all starting to speak. And, that's what we're trying to do, is get the word out there.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so glad. Okay, so now let's go into the good news.
Okay.
You always have great updates. Why don't we start with just give everyone all the information about the Beef Initiatives,
Sure.
What's going on right now, where they can find you, all that.
Well, the best thing about the Beef Initiative that we're pulling off, and I'm pulling this off, and it's hard because I've been at this for 2 years, and I've self-funded this. I haven't asked for money from anybody. And, I just want everybody to know there's not an agenda here except to save kids' lives and parents' lives. And we have to get the parents healthy so they can teach their kids what nutrition is. So by saying that, we're going to design and kind of do an interactive, conference schedule for 2022. And we're going to have our first conference in Kerrville, Texas, April 23rd. And we just released that website. So if you go to the beefinitiative.com, it'll be there. We have a list of great speakers from the medical field to ranching to Bitcoin to health to finance. And we're putting all of those little nodes together, being part of the Beef Initiative. Great. So we've been able to really frame, what we're trying to accomplish in 2022, the people that we're trying to reach. Basically, we're going to be explaining a vertical integration of our food systems and our food supply chains. And we're going to let people know you can be your own food supply chain again, just like our grandparents did. And that's what we're going to have a takeaway from this conference, is letting people know you have on ramps to do exactly what we've been talking about the last 2 years. So cool. That's going to be exciting. And I want everybody to come to that dang conference. It's in Kerrville, Texas on April 23rd. And people really need to attend this. Well, we have enough for 300 people. How's that? That's a good start. Okay. But what we really want to do, this is about meeting people. This is about networking. Whenever you come to that conference, when you leave, there is a call to action. This is going to get real. We're going to start really meeting ranchers. We're going to go visit them. We're going to talk about them. They're going to teach us, and we're going to teach them. And what we're going to do is we're going to come together, and we're not going to let the centralized media control or the centralized food group dictate to us that we cannot be healthy anymore. And so this is going to get very serious.
Woohoo! I like it.
Yes.
And so just for anyone that isn't familiar with you, Texas Slim has been mentioned on Joe Rogan. He's been mentioned on Glenn Beck and Adam Curry, right? Anyone I'm missing?
Well, there's a lot of
big names.
Yeah, those are some good names, and all of those, and some of them a couple of times with Adam. What's exciting is there's a lot of great Bitcoin and decentralized type of podcasts out there. I think I've been on 20 different ones, this past 6 months. So, Texas Slim is out there, I guess,
Good. Well, can you name a few that you've been on so people can find you on other channels? I like sharing the
Marty Bent is a great podcast. Me and Marty have become very good friends. Daniel Prince is a good one. Bitcoin Matrix is another good one. My own is Texas Slim's Vision. I started doing podcasting so I can kind of organize my, framing of the narrative and the signals. Those are some really good ones right there as well.
Awesome. Yay.
Yes. And yours, of course, is right there on top.
Of course. And we're going to try and have you back regularly. So we always are keeping people up to date on food
Right.
intelligence and where you are in the initiative. And at some point, it won't be an initiative.
No, we're going to tell
It'll
it.
be
We're
a
going
beef
to,
accomplished.
yeah, there you go. Let's move on to the next step, which is, I guess, an overall health initiative, right? That's what we can
Right.
do. Yeah, I like that.
Keep expanding, just like God does.
Yes,
I
for
love
sure.
it.
Me
And
too.
so is there anything else coming up? Like where do people find tickets if they want to get tickets to this
Yeah, just
event?
go to beefinitiative.com. It's right there on the front page. We just turned our whole website into that conference page. And then also, go to the beef box page, load up on animal protein. We're selling beef boxes through the initiative, the beef initiative. And
I love the
so
name
the
beef boxes.
yeah, it's Bitcoin beef boxes. You can buy with Bitcoin or you can buy with fiat. So,
Okay.
it's there and people are starting to, we haven't really marketed, we just kind of been word of mouth. And so if you come there, you're going to get fantastic beef from, like I said, KNC Cattle, Cole. They're a great organization outside of Austin, Texas. And so we're keeping it, within Texas right now, as far as our producers, our processors. We know the processors. We know that we're creating that market access where they don't have to buy their beef anymore at the grocery stores. And so that's pretty big for us, because it took us a while to get there, but we are there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so one of the main tenets or pillars that you have is, really getting to know your rancher, your butcher, your rancher respect, farmer fondness, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Any advice for somebody on not just like, so it's one thing, I guess they can go through the beef initiative, but maybe they want to just, go down the street and find somebody. What kind of beef do they ask for? Like, what kind of cow makes the best tasting, or what's the
Sure.
healthiest, or how many years old does the cow need to be to have it be the most effective, or those kind of questions.
Right. Yeah. It's all across the board, really, because we have so many different, genetics of cows, in different regions, different geographies. The best thing to do is, if it's a rancher, go up and shake his hand and say, please tell me everything and how you do it. I want to know, would you educate me? And whenever he tells you we call it the protocol of how he raises and stewards that animal, you're going to know that animal is basically what you're looking for, because he's going to tell you exactly how he raised it. He's going to tell you there's no chemicals. He's going to tell you that there's no antibiotics. He's going to tell you that it's been raised regenerative, and it's either finished off on grass or it's finished off on grain that's non-GMO. And once you hear that, you're going to know that he knows what he's doing, that he's trying to take care of your health, and you're going to establish a very good relationship with him. And then you're going to say, I'm going to spread the word about you. What would you like me to tell everybody? And you do that with these ranchers. They need to know that we're here and we're trying to find them.
Yeah.
And we want them to come along into the beef initiative so they can tell their story, and we can help them out to reach, more education or to sell the products. So
Good. So let's say I'm going on my first rancher date
right.
and I'm trying to see what I think. Are there red flags? Are there things that you would look for that you would go, yeah, this probably isn't the best ranch for you. It's not a match.
If they don't want to tell you what they're doing, if they don't want to tell you that they're finishing off in feedlots, or there's things that, for me, and for people, this is not a black and white thing. If you have a rancher that doesn't want to tell you his protocol, I'm not going to buy his beef. It's as simple as that. Yeah. If you have a rancher that's proud of what he's doing and he's doing it the right way, in the eyes of regenerative agriculture, then that's the tell point right there. That's all I would look for.
Awesome. And then what about you? You didn't really, I mean, I guess you said you left it kind of ambiguous, but
sure,
I really need help shopping. So, do I get one that's, 18 months old, 24 months old, 3 years old? Like, at what point does it like a grandpa steak and I don't want it?
Well, sometimes, some cattle go to processing at 13 months. Some of them go for 18 months. You get Wagyu that goes a lot longer than that. It really just depends on if it's Angus beef, if it's been regenerative, and if it's something like, really early on, like a 9-month, 10-month, it means that it really got a lot of grain and it fattened up the wrong way. So time does matter. You know,
Okay,
if you're going to
see,
have your
thank you.
druthers for age, I would always, 18 months is a good one. Between 12 and 18 months is a good number for
Okay, can
me.
it get too long? I mean, can
Yeah,
it?
because they'll get too tough. They'll get too
Okay.
muscled out.
Mhm.
A bull, he'll get really muscled out. And I saw one that at a friend's processing place up in the Panhandle. He was about a 2,000 pound bull, and he gotten left out in the pasture, and he survived very well. He was very well fed, and he was ready to fight, and he was one of those dangerous bulls. But something like that gets too tough. And so, you want to make sure that you have a window of time that they're not too muscled out.
Do
But
you have a personal favorite, like a I don't know, whatever Angus or
yeah,
something like that? I mean, does it get that detailed of like being a
really
connoisseur
does.
the way
Yeah.
people
I
are
mean,
with grapes?
you have the Hereford, you have, Longhorn, you have Angus, you have Wagyu. Yeah, that's what's so fun about this. No, I do not have my druthers. I have, I love them all. If they've been raised correctly, there's something that's fantastic about each cut. The
Right.
amount of fat, the amount of marbling, the lack of marbling, the leanness of it, the tenderness. It really is. It's something that you can never get tired of learning about, as
Yeah.
far as what kind of cut of meat you like, the cut of where it is, the different kind of cuts that you don't know about that you can find about by buying from your rancher. It's just a wonderful, treasure hunt basically that goes along with, just getting healthier.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I forgot what I was gonna ask next. Dang it, I had a good one too.
It'll
Oh, I
come
know, I
back.
remembered. I was gonna kind of switch gears and go into the business side of what you're doing. At
Mm-hmm.
what point did you realize, okay, I'm getting momentum here? And
Mm-hmm.
how did that moment feel for you?
I think, I released the Substack newsletter last September, I guess. And I think I was in the gym one day and I said, it wasn't even about being a business model. I said, I put the Bitcoin together, the rancher together, shaking hands. And once I started meeting some ranchers that were really wanting some help and wanting to talk, and I started really talking to some very base Bitcoiners that know what they're doing in the Bitcoin space, I knew right then that we were going to have something that was going to be bigger than anybody what they thought. That was probably back in, where are we right now? I would say probably late January. I knew that we were about to release something that was going to have an effect. Whenever, Adam mentioned me on Joe Rogan, whenever that was, I knew that we were there, that we had to steward this and we had to take responsibility and get some structure to it, instead of just out there, educating more, but let's give people solutions. We
Yeah.
can't talk about a problem without having a solution. And, that's what we've been able to accomplish in a very quick period of time. And it's only going to get better and bigger in 2022.
Awesome. Anything that you want to share that I'm not thinking to ask?
Well, really one thing that, is important to me right now, as far as, being the founder of the Beef Initiative, that people really need to understand that this is a serious thing right now going in the United States, as far as our food supply chain lines, as far as fertilizer shortages, as far as our food supply is going to be disrupted this year. And people are not going to like or be prepared for this. And the best thing you can really do is focus on our message here. This is about nutrition. This is about being food secure and not having food insecurity. And, that there's a big marketing plan out there to really disrupt the food industry in a way that's not going to be healthy for our children and for us as adults and parents. And if anything, just listen to our message. We're not out here trying to make money off of you. What we're trying to do is bridge the gap between ranchers and the consumers. And I think if we do that in 2022, we're going to have a chance to become, part of the food industry, that we are our own food supply chain.
I see it.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. I'm
And
glad you
then
see it.
I look forward to how you can expand and take this template and share it with others in
Mm-hmm.
other areas of food.
Sure.
Not just animal protein, but also other animal protein too.
Yeah, I mean, we want to, hog and fowl and lamb. I mean, all of it. Anything that's is of purity, of good, dense nutrition. You bet. From produce to protein, whatever it is. This is about getting decentralized food back into our lives and into our communities. This is the number one point that we have to understand. We cannot keep on doing this global centralization of food. It is killing us in ways that people do not want to admit, or they're having a hard time understanding, or that they don't understand that what is truly happening and why it's happening.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because I mean, even while I was researching earlier, just little things like, extra virgin olive oil, they're saying that 80% of the extra virgin olive oil isn't just olive oil, that they add
No,
canola oil or other things
canola. Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And so, they're literally putting those seed oils in the supposedly pure extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah, I mean, that's where our labeling laws are now in the United States of America. They're corrupt. They're wrong. They are a
Buyer
lie.
beware. Buyer
They
beware.
are a lie. And you can say, well, it's honest from an academic standpoint or from an FDA or a USDA. So be it. That's what they want to say. So be it. Well, the thing about it is that they've been manipulated so far, is that they're so confusing. There is nothing to understand anymore. And I think that is a number one motive behind this. That's why they have the grass rule, the generally recognized as safe. And they don't have to tell you what chemical it is that you're ingesting.
Right.
And,
As long as
when
it's
people
reasonably safe.
reasonably safe. Yeah. It's just hilarious. It's comical, to tell you the truth. It cracks me up when I read this, and you really stand back and you look at some of the wording that they use in these lawsuits. You're like, let's generally recognize this safe. Let's just throw it into your son's, pizza pocket, and, it'll be fine. So,
Yeah. And the other one that disappointed me so much was the chocolate, because it's not just cocoa that has to be in it. It has to
yeah,
have several other ingredients to actually be true chocolate.
sure.
The certain butter and the certain, cocoa butter
Mm.
and it. And so I was just like, golly, they're just faking out on everything.
Yeah, it's in everything. And it seems overwhelming. It really does. But once you go down this path, you get very isolated and tunnel visioned of what you even crave. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if it is chocolate, like real chocolate, well, if you eat real chocolate, you're not going to eat that much, and it's going to be just as good or better than anything else. You're not going to consume as much.
Right.
Your consumption model changes to where it's not about the quantity, man. It's truly about that quality. And
Right.
that's what you crave. You don't crave the quantity of something that just makes you hungry again every 4 hours.
So how often do you eat? Like, is it something that does keep you, like, you go longer than you used to?
Oh yeah. I change it. There's 4 seasons, and my eating habits change with the 4 seasons. I come from, farming and ranching. We still grow vegetables and everything within the family, especially my mom and I.
Mhm.
That's part of our relationship, that we
That's so
keep the
cool.
heritage strong, And so I eat a lot of vegetables in the summertime, a lot of fruits, but one thing I always consistent is, definitely I won't eat anything else besides beef right now. Honestly, it's just who I am.
And what
But
you
for
love.
breakfast, yeah, it's what I love. In the mornings, I'll go through, like during the winter, I'll eat a lot of breakfast, and I'll eat a lot of dinner, and it's eggs and bacon. It's just like my grandfather ate.
Yeah.
And it's good, and I love it. And I'm never tired. I'm working 18, 20 hours a day. I probably sleep about 4 hours because how
Wow.
busy I am, but I'm not exhausted. And I
Right.
just, I keep that momentum going by the animal protein.
You're
So
right.
I never eat more than twice a day.
The minerals that you need. One of
Sure.
my favorite things that my daughter makes is the beef bacon. She bakes
Mm-hmm.
it, and
Oh,
it
really?
is, have you ever
Yeah, I've
had,
had it.
it's
I've
like
never made
this
it.
thick,
Yeah.
and as it kind of shrinks down just a little bit, not like regular bacon, it comes down, but the fat part, it turns into this beautiful lacy, and it
Mm-hmm.
literally melts in your mouth. It
It
is
does. It's crazy,
so
isn't
good.
it?
It's so
It's a
good.
slow cook. And yeah, it just really, it does get that tender. So
yes, because we bake it like, I think like 30 minutes or something like that.
sure.
So you have to be patient, but it's worth it.
It is. It's a
I
low
can
time
assure you.
preference, It's like, hey, slow down. Let's enjoy this meal. Let's have a conversation. Let's learn more about it. And then
Yeah,
you go, how long they've been doing this? Go do your search, not on Google, of course, on something else, but go do a search and, find out about beef bacon and go explore and get educated and, turn it into a lifestyle.
it
That's
is.
what there's a hidden treasure here that people don't, that people that I tell people, I said, you're going to buy that, half a cow and it's going to be in your freezer. You're going to make it wake up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're going to go look in that side, in that freezer, and you're going to put a smile on your face. You are, because it's a good times ahead, man. It's good health ahead. And,
Yeah,
you'll start thinking like that.
that's really cool. And that was one of the things that one of my clients did the same thing. She got the half cow and she was like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. There's so much. Like, she goes, but you know what? It took me about 12 hours and I was okay with it.
Sure. I mean, and the peace of mind that gives you, a half a cow for a family, maybe a half a year, it depends on the size of the family. You're not worried about food. You're thinking about other things. You're being empowered to do other things instead of always being worried about the grocery store. Or what am I making for dinner tonight? Oh, I didn't make dinner. I don't have anything for dinner. I'm going to pull over here of the fast food, whatever it is, cater, Uber Eats. You don't have to do that anymore. You're taking care of your food supply
So
yourself.
cool. Well,
Yeah.
you think about like your girlfriend. I mean, it's pretty easy to cook for you, I guess.
Right. It's like, that's the great thing is that you get competition in within couples is saying, hey, there's two chefs here now, and I'm going to make the steak this way, or you're going to do it this way. So I've heard a lot of people doing that is, how do they use fire the best in
Right.
the
Yeah.
family,
Little competitions.
Yeah,
That's so cute.
it
I love
is.
it. Well, and so if you were to have a little wish list of the things that you would like to have happen,
Mhm.
not knowing how they were going to happen, what would your wish list be?
My wish list for this year, and especially within coming up to April with the conference, is
Mm-hmm.
to really everybody kind of tune in and let's show how we can really network together and really come together as far as taking a call to action, saying that we are going to save children's lives and we're going to do it our way this time. We're not going to listen to the corruption, because a lot of the food corruption comes with, there's a lot of good intent whenever you're trying to do something to save, nutrition for kids. It's manipulated to us a point where we have to take control as parents now. We really have to get
Absolutely.
focused on this because we are, children are not being given a chance. And so as much as anybody can engage in the beef initiative and to reach out and to, make those connections with anybody that that should be a part of this, bring them along.
Right.
This is
Right.
crowdsourcing. This is collective. We're doing this together. This is not
Yeah.
a marketing plan. This is about you and I having a conversation today and saying, come along, people, let's do this because we can do it. We're going to start in Texas and it's going to spread across the United States. And
Yeah.
there's going to be some
So
new
who do
food
you get? Who do you
intelligence.
get most excited about? Like somebody contacts you, what are the emails that get you tickled?
Well, it's the funny ones that everybody wants me on Joe Rogan. So we'll might as well go, hey, Joe Rogan, you need to
Yeah.
have me on your show. But every time I've said that, I've been on that next podcast. So maybe Joe Rogan will listen. And I've been mentioned on there several times on Joe Rogan in certain ways. And so if we could get that type of exposure where we can talk about food intelligence and the way that we know and how we're moving forward with solutions, that's going
Right.
to help everybody out. That'll be fun. I mean, I want this to be a party for everybody. I want everybody to have a fun time doing this and to be very empowered doing it, not to be scared anymore. Let's have a
Right.
damn good time in 2022 and let's circumvent all this chaos. So,
Yeah, you need to invite him to Kerrville.
yeah, I'm going to tell Adam to do that. So I'm
Yeah.
going to get him to say, hey, get him to Kerrville. So
Yeah.
I'm giving that responsibility to Adam Curry.
It seems like a fair he has the access, so you never know. But no, I think
Exactly.
it would be amazing. I mean, to reach this many people with this
Mhm.
almost could blow the whole system up.
Well, it will. And the thing about it is, no matter what happens, people are moving forward as individuals, and they're going to go meet the ranchers, so they can throw all the chaos they want at us. But I mean, we're decentralized, and so
You can't
no,
stop what
and
happens locally.
no, you can't. And they can try as hard as they want. That just makes it more powerful. We're going to know the law better than the law knows itself. And we're
Yeah.
going to use the law. We're going to do everything the correct way, and we're going to do it better. And, that's what everybody needs to have, this confidence level within their own family and their decision making when it comes to food. We can do this, and we can change, we can change history here. And this is the time to do it.
Yes. Well, if anyone can do it, you can. You're so eloquent, and you have such vision and focus and drive and all of the things you need. So if anyone can do it, it'll be you.
Well, thank you for that. And that means a lot. It really does. But, we're going to do it together for sure. I mean, you just having me on the show.
I'm definitely your Dallas ambassador.
Yes, you are. You've proven that, right? And we're going to continue these conversations to keep everybody, moving throughout the year. We're going to have a conference in Colorado as well. We're going to have a conference out in Georgia. And then I think at the end of the year, we're going to have a big old health initiative conference. And nice. I'm not for sure where it's going to be. So everybody can send me ideas, but it can be anywhere in the United States, and we'll go there and do it. We'll pull it off.
I love it. So just for people that are interested, what's the price range for the tickets?
Right now, I believe each ticket is $149, and it gets you 9 speakers. It gets you a steak dinner with K&C cattle. It gets you a day full of being able to go around the Western Museum of Art in Kerrville. It's a fascinating, great heritage museum about the Texas cowboy and the Texas cattle drives and art and everything. So it's a fun day of, basically being able to take a break, get some really good education and entertainment. Kerrville is a pretty neat town to visit, just for the weekend. There's plenty of lodging right now. So Kerrville can pull this off. I mean, we've got enough for 300 people. So bring it.
So tell us one more thing. Where are some of the places that people can stay if they do go down there?
You got the Wild Ranch Hotel. That's a fun one. They've got a lot of places on the Guadalupe River, little cabins that you can, it's springtime. Let's get back into cabins. Let's get close to water. They've got the Hyatt, they've got the Hilton. They've got all those type of hotels too. But if you do a general search, I'm going to stay at the Wild Ranch Hotel. And, that's they have a great lobby there. It's kind of dated a little bit, but I'm just doing it because it looks cool. And but there's a lot of Airbnbs. You can stay, Fredericksburg's just 20 miles away.
I was just going to say that too. There's a lot of women that love Fredericksburg.
Yeah, you're close there.
They can hit both.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. So there's so many cool spots right there around Kerrville and all the way to Fredericksburg and Johnson City. It's not that far. I mean, if people haven't been out to the hill country of Texas, now 2022 is the time to do it. This is what we're doing. We're bringing Texas heritage and history and travel. We're going to cross some rivers to get there. So let's make it to Kerrville, and we'll do it together.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else that you wanted to share before we got off?
And I think we've covered, I want to thank everybody that listens. And, this is something that I really, I'm very thankful for. I do this, this is a God thing. This is something that we're going to do together, and it's going to have a lot of good spirit to it.
It already does.
You bet.
It makes me so happy to open up another, direct message or text message or email, and somebody's telling me their story about the best meatloaf they've ever had in their life,
Right. Yeah.
It's really
that's
cool.
Awesome.
So thank you
some good feedback.
For impacting us. And I mean, we're down to the dreams too. This lady was saying she has better dreams. I like that.
Let's all pursue it. Yeah, let's pursue it even harder, right? Let's share those stories. Everybody share their stories.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Go ahead and share with everybody what your website is and your Twitter accounts and all that.
The one thing about the website, and if you have a producer or a rancher that you're using, you can go to the beefinitiative.com website. And there's a producer section where you can go there and you can put your rancher in there, put his email address, everything about him, his phone, share his story or have him do it if they don't want to do it. So you can do that as a user of the website. And also there's a section in there called Mine Your Protein. if you have a great story, a recipe, whatever you want to do, just submit it and we'll release it after we approve it. So everybody can do a lot of input into the website. That's why, it's going to be very effective that we're getting everybody's stories and who they're actually using and trust as far as ranchers. And then on Twitter, you can just find me at modernTman. And then the Twitter handle for the Beef Initiative is just at Beef Initiative. So
yeah.
There, okay, I think that's perfect. All of them. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope everybody enjoyed this. I think it's very important. And I think it's actually really fun. Here again, people are asking about the hat. I have made my daughter stop everywhere there's a meat place to check it out and see if they have cool hats.
There you go. That's a good collection to start, right?
Exactly.
We're going to have the Beef Initiative hats coming out pretty soon.
Hey, you've affected me if you've affected my fashion.
I know, right? It. Exactly. I feel honored.
I never bought anything with a cow on it before.
You're setting a new standard, Carmen. There you go. Fashion trend. Here we go. I told you about Urban Cowboy, right? In the 70s.
I don't remember this, or maybe you did and I forgot.
Well, it's pop culture. During the 70s, Urban Cowboy came out with John Travolta, right? And Deborah Winger, I believe. And everybody in the country bought cowboy hats, and so we're going to take the opportunity to everybody buy cow shirts and cow hats now. And that's going to be the fashion trend.
With an upside down cow.
Right. No, it's got to be from your rancher that you trust.
One that's flying or something. That don't work.
Well, it's up to us. Let's set the standard.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks everybody.